Alright, here we go. Today I'm going to make a battery tray, or more like a spacer. So, battery is normally located here behind the passenger seat. I relocated this battery back here. I used to have two batteries before. They were pretty crappy, so I switched to one Optime Red top, where it's a little big. So I'm gonna make a little tray, or a spacer, so the battery sits a little higher, and I can make a brace that goes from these two little weld nuts right here all the way here. The strap would just run this way like that in an L shape, and I can weld a couple other weld nuts here, and those 4 bolts will hold it in place. And instead of welding another set of weld nuts here, these won't be used, but instead of welding another set over here, I'm gonna use these. That's why I need to make that spacer, so the battery sits a little higher and I can actually do that strap. Anyway, I still gotta fix all this wiring crap. That's just pathetic. I did that last minute, finishing the project. Obviously it wasn't like this, but you know, it's not even soldered together, not even heat shrink, nothing. So anyway, gotta fix a bunch of wiring junk and go from there. So I'm gonna show you exactly the spacer I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make it out of this wood. This piece of wood I already cut up. So this, and I'm gonna actually bolt or screw down a piece of aluminum on top. It's gonna have a couple holes here just to make it look better, I guess. The wood itself, I'm gonna paint it black so it doesn't look like this, like actual wood. I'm gonna use wood because I didn't have any other material available. Plus it's a nice flat piece that the battery can sit on, and it's not very heavy at all, and it works, so why not use it? And it's not gonna be bolted down or anything. The battery's gonna sit on top, so the weight of the battery is gonna keep this in place. But I'm gonna put a piece of aluminum on top of it so it doesn't dent the wood as much. The battery doesn't dent the wood, and it might look a little nicer too. The aluminum is just gonna be bare, not painted. But let's get to it. Alright, so hopefully the phone doesn't fall off. But I'm gonna use this piece of aluminum sheet I have here. And this is gonna sit on top. So we have to draw a pattern first, so we can get this cut up and then screwed down, and then make a couple big holes with this 3 inch and 3/4 hole saw, and hopefully it'll work out. I don't have machinist glue, so what I do is I use this marker, go around roughly where the piece is gonna be, just lightly, then mark around it a little little wider of a line. Just like that. Just like that. Very simple. Now I need my scribe so I can scribe down the form. Normally you would like to actually clamp this down to make sure it doesn't move, and you can get a nice scribe, but I think I can put enough pressure on it with my hand, and it's not a very complicated piece. And when you use your material, you want to be a little strategic so you don't waste material. So I'm using this portion right here, and I could cut this straight. So this will be a nice rectangular piece for whatever else I need. And I leave a big old sheet over here that I can just put anything else I need, which I'll need for the strap that's going to hold down the battery. But that's that for now. So that's all the scribe. So now what I need is my bandsaw. I don't have an actual bandsaw or a tabletop, a real one. So this is just a small bandsaw that I can clamp down here. Just like that. And use it to cut the big piece of aluminum, I hope. If not, I don't know what the hell to do. Little piece. This is the problem with this type of bandsaw. I'm going to use this side, the shorter side. See, that's as far as it can go. It's not very far. So, unfortunately, I may not be able to do this with this bandsaw. So, let's see if my shears can actually do this. Well, let's see if the shears actually work. I don't like to use them. They start deforming the metal, and it's very thick gauge for hand shears. Even though it's aluminum, it's still difficult. To cut. So, these don't work very well. So I have these. Yep. All these tools came from Harbor Freight. Don't have the money to buy the real deal. So they work. They don't last very long. But they work. They work well enough. So for this, I would actually like to clamp this down. But let's see if I... So that's what these do. They cut and they leave this spiral that you have to cut down. It's sharp. You should wear gloves. I don't. But don't follow my lead. Just making that flat so it's easier to cut at the end. I hope you can see. So this gets stuck, so you just like that. Cut off this little piece. You could use it for filler or welding aluminum if you want. I don't have my TIG welder anymore, so just throw it away. Plus it's too thick. But the rest, this little curve, you can cut with these shears, even if they're straight. We're gonna finish it with a file anyway. What I should have done is make the holes. You always want to make the holes for screws, bolts, or whatever first before you start cutting the piece of metal. Makes it easier. It's easier to hold down a big piece of metal than a smaller piece of metal when you're making holes and stuff like that. So here we just cut roughly what the shape's gonna be. So that's gonna be sitting on the rough side of this piece of wood. Something like that. Screwed down. I think I'm gonna use 6 screws. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'm gonna shape this first. Make the holes. Screw this down to the piece of wood. Use this hole saw to make 2 big holes through the aluminum and the piece of wood. And then I'll see you back. Alright, so now I got the piece clamped down. I need to use the punch for the holes. They're already marked with a pencil line where they're gonna go. There's 8 holes in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, never mind, there's 10. Anyway, and then there's these 2 for the hole saw. And I'm actually gonna use a 2-inch hole saw. This one right here. So you punch the holes. You want to use an actual punch, but I always start with this. It's a spring-loaded punch. You just set it down like so, and then you push hard, and it makes a tiny punch. Just a tiny punch mark. But you don't want to use that to drill. You want to use an actual punch, such as this one, that you need to use a hammer and then just punch again. This is easier, and if you mess up, you can always relocate the punch hole or the punch mark. Anyway, I'm not gonna record all the cutting and drilling because it's loud and whatever. So I'll see you back. So here are the 2 pieces now with all the holes. Unfortunately, I gouged the aluminum right there. I'm gonna try to clean that up. I need to deburr all the holes. On the wood itself, it's fine. Came out okay. It kind of looks like an old cassette back in the day. Anyway, so after that, I'm gonna put all these 2 pieces together and paint the inside of these holes and whatever else so it looks nice. And it'll be a finished piece of a battery tray / whatever, and it's gonna be used for this battery right here. The battery's gonna be laying down, and this is gonna be sitting on it like that inside the car, and you'll be able to see it once it's all done. And we'll see you back. Okay, so now this is the finished battery tray or spacer or whatnot. Turned out decent. It's not great. Now it doesn't look like it's a piece of wood with some aluminum on top. Unless you knew, you probably think it's something else. It looks kind of overkill, really. It's probably not as functional as it should be, but the battery's gonna sit on it, and it has to be this size so it fits behind the passenger seat. And the holes are just there for looks, really, and the whole thing is just for looks. I could have finished this in like 30 minutes, but no, instead it took me a couple hours. So battery will sit on top of it like so. Let me show you real quick. Let's see if you can see it. So that'll be, oh. Yep, more or less, something like that. It'll sit right there. So now it's actually sitting on the screws instead of the actual tray. That's why I said it's not as functional. I mean, it works, but you know. But I didn't have any other screws, and I don't have a countersink to have the screws sit flush. So this is just gonna work. It's gonna have to work. Till next time.